we are without engine. We've got no means of starting the engine for electricity, for hot water and that sort of thing. Welcome to this week's video. I have been on my travels again, visiting family in Spain, as I mentioned last week. So at the end of this week's video, I will show you some sunny shots of beautiful Spain. Peter intends to move the boat fairly soon. Before he can do that, he has several issues that he needs to resolve. The first one is the Eberspacher needs to be serviced. This will give him hot water and heating to the radiators.
And this black thing here and the control box next to it, this is my diesel water heater. This one's made by a company called Eberspacher, who are very big in this area. They make them for vans and trucks as well. They're not just for boats.
The Eberspacher will be serviced hopefully fairly soon, and Peter has also decided to fit a header tank to the system. This will hopefully resolve some of the high pressure issues in the engine that currently stop the engine from working properly. Once he's done that, he can then go about disconnecting the Morceau squirrel stove in preparation for getting a new diesel reflex stove put in. He will be cruising north in order to accomplish that. But the third thing that he really needs to get sorted out, and this is what's been hanging over him for the last few years, and it's been very evident over this last year, the engine keeps overheating. He hasn't been able to cruise for quite a while, so he runs the engine to get the hot water and the electricity and the rest of it. But even stationary, the boat has been overheating. He's had engineers out to look at it, and he's now in communication with various people to see if he can get an additional skin tank fitted. It looks as though that may actually have to replace the existing skin tank. Nothing will be done to that because that's obviously built into the fabric of the boat, but the new one will be fitted, and it will then take on the responsibility of cooling the engine, because the skin tank that we have currently is far too small for the size of engine that we've got.
We can see the famous skin tank. There's a pipe here that goes up into the top of this steel structure, which is welded to the inside of the hull. It goes from over there all the way along to here, and the hot water coming out of the engine goes into the top there. It flows through this tank, and the heat goes out into the canal water, and then it comes back on this return pipe down there. This device here is an oil cooler for the gearbox, and there's some temperature anomalies on the coolants flowing in and out of there. So he's coming back when he can find time, and we're going to investigate further, because it may be that the skin tank could be bigger, or should be bigger ideally, but also if there's anything else wrong with the system, then it would be good to fix that first and then address how serious the skin tank problem is, because the fix for it isn't easy. You can see there's a radiator here mounted on the wall. That was a failed attempt from last year to add cooling into the circuit. It did get hot, and it had a nice side effect in the winter of warming up this engine room when you're cruising, but unfortunately it generated pressure in the system, and when the third time a hose blew off its coupling and dumped all the coolant into the bilge here, we decided enough's enough, and it's been disconnected. So that was a failure. And I don't know quite when the mechanic's coming back. He might even catch up with me when we're travelling, because he's very mobile, but hopefully we can sort something out, and hopefully it will be before I leave here. Target time is the 8th of April.
The overheating engine problem hasn't been resolved yet. A year ago, 8th of April in fact, Peter was talking about the skin tank and the Eberspacher, and a year on we're still in the same position. The Eberspacher is not working properly, the engine is still overheating, so we can't really move securely.
Right, I've run the engine for 35 minutes and we seem to have a leak down there. There's nothing gone into the bilge particularly, but that looks suspiciously like the place where the core plug was replaced.
We may at last be making some headway with fixing the overheating problem, servicing the Eberspacher and replacing the Morso squirrel stove with a reflex diesel one. Just a shameless plug here, if you're in the market for a 5-year-old Morso squirrel stove, do get in touch, as Peter will be selling his on this year. I hope you've enjoyed this week's video. We haven't been able to do any cruising, so I'm really looking forward to the weeks ahead when maybe the boat is moving and I can be on it while it's cruising. That would be lovely. But thank you for watching and supporting me in my videos. I really appreciate your comments if you choose to comment, and I appreciate you watching as well. So until next week and next week's video,